Welcome to Penguins Postgame. He's Danny Shirey. I'm Dejan Kovacevic. And the Penguins beat the Kings here at PPG Paints Arena. Man, 6-1. Go ahead and show them that. And look at the shots, too. 40-34 for Los Angeles. That's actually a little bit more indicative of how this game went, isn't it?
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, early on, it looked like the Kings were really putting some pressure on the Penguins.
Yeah.
When the Penguins were trying to come out of their zone. The Penguins made several errors trying to come out of their zone, up the boards, with the Kings trying to pinch down low, and it extended some zone time and possession for them. And while they didn't get any, high-octane scoring chances, they still were firing the puck at will. And if it wasn't for Tristan Jarry out there and the way he played,
yeah, especially on that one, the right down here, actually, that one crazy scrum around the net.
Yeah,
where he was just all over the puck, just locked in,
Well, he was locked in all night.
He really was.
I mean, I hate to keep jumping to these conclusions so early on, but the goalie and Tristan Jarry that we saw tonight looks like a completely different goaltender than the Tristan Jarry we saw against the Islanders too.
Oh yeah, but honestly, Danny, don't you think he's crossed that bridge at this point? Are you one of those that wants to see him succeed in the playoffs?
I do want to see him.
He had a nice Game 7 on a broken foot.
Yeah, that's great, and I do think we have moved past that, but we still haven't really seen that yet. We've seen flashes of it, and obviously he's made 2 All-Star games, but over an entire season and through the playoffs, we still haven't seen that. And going forward, we're still only several games into this season, but there's just a confidence about the way he's standing in his career.
Yeah, it's different. Yeah, see, that's what gets me. It's not the magnitude of the game or what he did. I mean, you and I covered Game 7 at Madison Square Garden. Did he look to you like he was, woohoo, no, I'm scared? No, man, he's candid. But he didn't play on a broken foot. He wouldn't have been able to play in the next round, by the way, for those of you who don't know that yet. What gets me about Jarry's progression, and this is my favorite part of it, is that it's not rooted in confidence. Very rarely is it for athletes. Athletes first get good at something, and then they're confident, just like most of us in life, okay?
Right.
And when I have Andy Chiodo telling me consistently, month after month through last season, that's the goaltending coach, that he sees Jarry doing this better, or a certain movement across, the double leg stack or whatever. So actually, he doesn't even do that. He does more of the rock'em sock'em robot stack.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I'm really dating myself with that reference. But he'll move very mechanically, but very quickly. And that's where he gets his confidence. His confidence comes from stopping the puck.
Yeah, and I think that really starts and ends earlier in his career when he would be struggling a little bit. You'd notice that he was a little bit sunk into his crease. He wasn't coming out and taking angles away and really forcing the shooter where to go rather than reacting to that. But now we see a Tristan Jarry who is at the top of his crease. Like I don't think there's been a point in the 3 games that he's played where I saw him and I was like, you're too deep in your
shrinking
crease,
yourself,
or you're shrinking yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Every single opportunity that the other team has to even so much as shoot the puck, he looks like he's primed and ready for it.
He looks like he's bigger than he is, and he's actually pretty big.
Right.
So that's something to be said for the way that he started out. He is, of course, after all this time since Game 7, 100% healthy, and has a chance to feel good about himself. The other part, as long as we're talking about the back end tonight, you and I talk a lot about the importance of defensive scoring and defensive mobility, but I want you to share with everybody what we were talking about just now back there in that corridor. There's different definitions of mobility for a defenseman, aren't there?
Yeah, no doubt. So obviously Jan Ruda and Jeff Petrie are here for John Marino and Mike Matheson.
Danny's favorite subject, by the way. Here he comes. Here he comes.
All right, here's the thing. So Marino and Matheson were both very good transition players. If you're just solely talking in terms of getting the puck out of the defensive zone and up ice. But what happened after that?
Whoa. Matheson on the transition meant that Matheson was the transition.
Well, right, and that's really what we're getting at here. So
Okay.
Matheson, well, I saw a lot of people that were a little concerned over the offseason that's like, can Petrie really replace that offensive impact? But I view Matheson's offensive impact as more of a one-trick, I'm doing it myself, and if it doesn't work, oh well. Petrie, on the other hand, I think it's pretty clear that the things he's doing out there are actually helping the team and the rest of the players that he's out on the ice with generate offense as well. And Jan Ruda is obviously not going to be, killing it offensively either, but we saw with that little shimmy and the way he rolled his wrists on his goal to get that puck through, that these guys are feeling more comfortable in this environment.
Yeah, I just like the fact that they made those decisions. I mean, okay, as long as I'm dating myself in this particular episode, here's a one that's a real throwback here. But when you're talking about old-timey defensemen, what used to happen, and this goes back to the 70s and 80s and so forth, was defensemen had one priority. It was to get the puck through. The main reason for that was there were very few guys like an Al Iafrate or Al McInnes or guys that could really, really rip it from the blue line. Now everyone can, and as a result, defenses adjusted to that. Now they have everyone blocking shots the way we saw Brock McGinn doing all night tonight, okay? And that takes away that option. So you and I heard Mike Sullivan saying after the game when I brought it up with him, he said what they're doing is they're looking for lanes. They're looking for that one little extra edge to get that shot off. I asked Petrie about this after the game, and here's what he had to say.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's been important. Obviously, when you have the time to really lean into one, there's a time for that. But for me, especially in the power play or 5-on-5, like I said, when those forwards are there, we got to reward them for being there. So when I'm scaling line and see a lane, that's just trying to get the puck to the net for, whether the goalie doesn't see it or for a rebound for those guys.
And that's really the kind of player he was in Montreal too, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, he's no stranger to shooting the puck, especially from distance. I wouldn't say he's necessarily trigger happy out there, but this is a guy who spent quite a bit of time on Montreal's power play. When they had Shea Weber, they ran their entire power play through getting shots from their defensemen. And while I don't think that's necessarily the greatest power play strategy,
it is when you have Shea Weber and Jeff Petrie on your points.
Yeah. So
and who up front in Montreal? Okay.
Right. So Petrie's not a stranger to this, and obviously when the Penguins brought him in, I think they viewed him as a guy, if nothing else, even if he's not going to be filling the net, that John Marino, who was shooting the puck maybe 5 times, 6 times every hour he spent out on the ice last year, Petrie's going to be getting pucks to the net.
I told you.
Hey, Marino's off to a really good start with the Devils this year. That's great. But as far as the Penguins are concerned and what they're trying to achieve,
this is a much better fit. This is a much better fit. Look, we all loved what Marino did as a rookie. I think we all had much higher hopes for him than what ended up happening here. I'm still not 100% sure what did. With Matheson, it's a lot clearer. I still think Matheson can do incredible things on the rink, things that other humans can't do. But for this team, and this was something that I ended up sharing with Petrie in our discussion, for this team at this time, what they needed a lot more of is this instead of all this.
You mean they don't need John Marino skating to the corner with his back to the slot?
Do I lie, people? Do I lie? He's got something going on here.
I've got to get some run out of this because there was a point last season toward the end of the regular season when I stuck my neck out there and I said, if I had to make the decision, I would rather keep Marcus Pettersson for this team. I did not say he was a better player than Marino, although with the way Pettersson's season is starting, I'm not so sure at this point anyway. But I would keep Pettersson for this team over John Marino, and everybody freaked out and said what a ridiculous thing that is to say, and lo and behold, what ended up happening over the offseason.
It's like you get paid to do this or something.